Welcome back to our Diplomatic Lounge. This is our episode number 23, which means that we're almost concluding the second year of our presence on YouTube, and we thank you for your attention and your comments. This week, I want to start with a recent political event, the election of Mr. Zohar Mandani as the next mayor of the city of New York. His election as such is quite an event, but we also have to see that his 50% win underscores the deep divisions, even in a city that is most willing to stand up to the present-day White House. The 50-50 political divisions begin to be a worldwide phenomenon, and consensus in many societies is more and more difficult, and that is dangerous. Now, living in Spain, and especially here in Andalusia, the history of the Spanish Civil War between 1936 and 1939 is still very much with us. That war was probably the most vicious of its kind of last century. While most of the direct participants, combatants, victims, refugees alike, have passed on, some of the memories of those horrors have been passed down the generations. I've always felt that Franco's long survival till 1975 has slowed down the forgetting of the Civil War, and likewise it has slowed down the rise of the new populist fascism that we see elsewhere in Europe. That may be coming to an end, even here in Spain, though. But more importantly, we should at least retain some of the lessons of the circumstances that made civil war inevitable, because it's striking how fast certain precursor signs unfolded into endless horrors. Like many democratic societies today, Spain in 1936 was divided about 50-50 between conservative nationalists and left-leaning Republicans. The Republic was the legitimate government against which the nationalists took up arms, though. But the signs leading up to the violence look all too familiar. The replacement of civil political discourse by vindictive statements, vicious name-calling with a guerrilla vocabulary, personal vendettas adding to the mass of hatred, the dehumanizing of the opponents. So, all of this resulted in disruptions and in absurd propaganda based on lies, lies, and lies. It also led within 1 month, that is August 1936, to the almost immediate appearance and arming of parallel militias and police forces with no oversight or accountability. And this led in the city of Granada alone to thousands of extrajudicial executions. Anything between 2,000 and 5,000 supporters of the legitimate government were passed by firing squads of the newly formed fascist militias in 1 month. If you see how fast the precursor signs turned into the full scale of murderous madness, we have to realize how little is needed to unchain the beast in man, that is, in all of us, for the horrors were soon reciprocated from all sides. Nevertheless, we shouldn't forget 2 facts. First, the Republicans, who were shot by the thousands in the first weeks of the Civil War, represented the legitimate government as elected by the people. And it was the fascist side that started the unending cycle of violence. The question has been asked recently between the left and the right. Which side is more prone to violence and terrorism? Answer that question for yourself. In the end, in the case of Spain, everyone lost, not their innocence, for that was long gone, but lost the most basic notions of humanity. And that's why it's so dangerous to flirt with those demons, as is happening today. The 50-50 divisions make it ever more difficult to practice the art of the compromise, which is one of the basic skills required to run a democracy. Without going as far as fearing for civil war, where consensus and compromise fail, At the very least, we're seeing the poisoning of the game of politics, probably for years to come, with vulgarity, name-calling, supposedly funny nicknames, etc. This has always existed, to some extent of course, but not practiced daily by the highest authorities in an important country, which the world is watching. So let's see where we go from the present precursor signs, and hope and pray that this never develops to the horrors that Spain saw half a century ago. But we should be aware at least of the dangers that we're courting. Thank you, and see you next time.